Hi everyone, Amber here from Majestic. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're already on month 5 of Cotton Cut's Puzzle Mystery Quilt. I cannot believe it is already month 5 of Under the Sea. Time is just flying by. So for this month in the large size, we have 2 different sections. We have our 5A section. You'll actually have 4 of these by the time that you're done. And we have our 5B section, which you will have 2 of these. So I will have timestamps in the description if you want to jump ahead to a particular part. I hope you're enjoying the tutorials. If so, please consider subscribing or giving a thumbs up, leaving a comment, just anything interacting. It does help my channel grow. I appreciate it so much and enjoy the tutorial. All right, so we are on month 5 of our Cotton Cuts Under the Sea. I have everything laid out here in front of me so I can grab all my pieces as well as my pressing mat and mini iron. And as always, I'm sewing on a Singer 5528 with a 70-10 needle and Gutermann thread. The thread is just preference. I prefer that to the Aurifil. I use a lot of poly thread with sewing bags. Use whatever works best for you. So in this month, I have already did part of it live, so now I'm doing the tutorial. You also got a little bonus gift in this pack, and we are sewing up 4 of section 5A and 2 of 5B. So I'm going to be sewing 1 of each for the tutorial. So all these numbers here, since there's 4 of them, I'm going to divide that. I'm only going to be sewing 1. So starting on step 1, I need a small A triangle and a small D triangle. And I always keep my color card near me. That way I am double checking. I'm making sure that I am not accidentally grabbing the wrong fabrics. That happens a lot, especially if you have fabrics in a colorway that looks very similar. Thankfully, in Davy Jones, only the A and the F fabrics are even remotely similar. All right, so I'm just lining them up. And because it's a triangle, I always make sure I put my needle down first, so I try to not get it sucked in my feed dogs. And holding my thread helps too. I don't really have any trouble on squares or anything like that, but with the points of the triangles, it does sometimes like to get sucked down. And then for this here, we are pressing towards our D fabric. So for Davy Jones, that is our orange fabric. And gently opening it up. Okay, and so for step 2, we're adding directly to this. We need a small A square, and that will go to the left. And you can orient them the same direction. I'm just leaving mine fabrics different because at the end of the day, we don't know which way these pieces are going to go in our final quilt. So I like varying the orientation of directional fabrics. That way at the end, it all kind of blends together. Okay. And for each of these, you should have 4 if you're making all 4 blocks at once. Okay, and this one here, I am pressing to the left towards that A square. And then I will gently set them to the side. Okay, now we're on step 3. I need a large D triangle, which is the orange, and a large B triangle, which is the brown floral. And I like to lay them out exactly like it looks in the picture. That way I know I am sewing along the correct edges. So I'm going to put them right sides together. If you want, because they're long, you could clip them. Again, I am just going to match up the sides. And then for this one here, we are pressing towards our B triangle. So gently open that up. Our seams are pressing towards that brown floral and giving it a nice press from the front. And I'm keeping it here because our next step, step 4, we are joining our large A triangle to the right of it. So I'm going to grab one of these large pieces, and since this one is the same size, there's no center seam to match up, but because it is a large piece, I am going to fold it right sides together and actually clip it because it is so long. I don't want it to stretch or warp, and try to keep this as accurate as possible.
Yep, you got the. Which is cut.
Okay, and then for this piece here, we are pressing our seams towards that large A triangle. Gently open that. And because I clipped it, it looks nice and square. I don't trim any of my blocks as I'm going. It does give trimming information, but I never ever trim it to that. And my quilts always turn out fine. Okay, and I'm leaving it here because our next step, step 5, we are going to add our step 2 to the top. And so again, the D part should be to the top right. There is a center seam, but there's no seam here to match up. So I'm just going to turn them right sides together. I don't have to worry about matching up a seam. I could probably hold it in place, but I just want to make sure I'm as accurate. And because this is kind of long, I am going to just clip them.
Awesome. Eat them up. What does it?
Okay, and for this one here, we are pressing our seams towards the top. So give the back a nice press, and then gently open this from the front. I love how it is looking. You can see that my fabric, all 3 A pieces are oriented a different direction, and I'm totally okay with that. And I'm just going to set it to the side because we're going to use some different pieces for the next step. All right, so now step 6 and step 7, they're slightly different. They're both flying geese, but they just have a different top. I'm actually going to sew them both at the same time. So that way, just to make it a little bit quicker. So I need 2 large F triangles. And I'm just laying them out. My step 6 will be the top one, 7 will be the bottom. So for step 6, I need a small B triangle on the left and a small C triangle on the right. And then for the step 7 flying geese here, I need 2 small B triangles. And this is just so I can sew them both at the same time, saving myself time and not having to cut thread. So I'm going to start with my step 6, the right hand side, lining them up nicely. And I'm just keeping an eye on my thread because I am running out on the top. I can see it on the spool. So just being mindful. And now I'm adding my step 7. I'll do the right hand side. So lining them up nicely. Clip them if you need to, if they're shifting on you. I'm just holding it in place. And that step 6 acts like a leader and kind of just helps pull this in. Which is nice because, like I said, sometimes my points of my triangles want to get sucked down into the feed dogs. Okay. So now I'm going to press them open, both towards the right hand side. I love that the blocks are using all the different fabrics. I really like having a variety in the quilt instead of just like one or other being dominant. Okay, so now that those are pressed open, we're going to do the same exact step for our left hand side. Kind of matching these up nicely. Oh, I think, yep, I ran out of bobbin. So I'm going to just actually wind a new bobbin and replace my top thread. Okay, so I just put a new bobbin in. The Gutermann I don't use in bag making. I only use it in quilting because it's thinner than my bag making thread. So I will mix and match colors, especially because you're not going to see it in the piecing. So if you look closely, you'll see that my bottom thread is actually blue and my top thread is peach. And this is just so I don't waste any and I don't have, a million different bobbins at the same time.
Good.
Okay, so that's my step 6. Now I'm adding the side to my step 7. Again, taking the time to match them up.
Sleep. Good.
And now we will press each of these open. So the top one is my step 6. And my bottom is step 7. Again, gently opening them up. And I'm not moving them because now for step 8, I am taking a B rectangle and I'm just putting it between the step 6 and step 7. So step 6 is going to be on top, the rectangle is going to be in the middle, and my step 7 is on the bottom. So I don't have any seams here to worry to match up because it's a solid rectangle. So I am just going to put them right sides together. You can clip them if you want since it's a longer piece. I'm just going to hold them in place. and stitch. Okay, and I am pressing towards that B rectangle. So towards the middle, what's going to be the middle piece. So gently open them up. And now we're going to do the same thing for the bottom. I'm going to put them right sides together. They should match up pretty evenly. They might be a little bit smaller if you use the full 1/4 inch seam allowance. In my case, that is the case. So I just kind of center it in the middle.
Okay.
And this will also get pressed towards that B rectangle in the center. So I'm going to press from the back side first and then gently open them up.
To the
Okay, so that is step 8. And now for step 9, our last step, I am just going to flip these around. I'm going to move my step 8 to the left, and then our section from step 4 to the right. And we are going to sew these together. I only have one seam here that I need to match up. So I am going to put them right sides together, turn it towards me, and your seams should be nested if you've pressed everything the correct direction. So I'm going to clip that first and then line up the rest of my edge and clip out. And the same thing down here, line up the rest of the edge and clip.
I'm sorry, that. How?
Okay, and for this one here, we are pressing our seams to the right. So give it a nice press from the back, and then gently open them. As the blocks get bigger, sometimes my seams want to kind of like fall back on themselves. So I just make sure that they don't flip. And you can see that my seam has lined up really nicely. The bottom here is a little bit longer, so maybe I did a smaller seam at some point, but that is going to get hidden when this block gets connected to the next. But that finishes step 9, and this finishes up our 5A block, and you should have 4 of them. And so now we're moving on to our 5B block. We have 2 of them. They should come together rather quickly. So just like I did over here with step 6 and 7 in 5A, I'm going to do step 1 and 2 at the same time. I'm going to be making one of each of these flying geese. You will be making 2 if you're doing both blocks at once. So we need 2 large B triangles. So I'm just going to lay them out. And the top one needs 2 small D triangles. And the bottom one needs one C triangle and one F triangle. And I'm going to sew them at the same time, starting with the right hand side, making sure that I am lining them up. And the same thing with this one here. Okay. And just cutting these apart, and we will press them both open to the right hand side. And the same thing here with the step 2, press that open to the right hand side. And now we're going to continue matching up our left-hand sides. And the same thing here. And making sure that you don't mix up your fabrics, like that you are actually, this is my C fabric that I'm putting on, making sure it's with the Flying Geese that has the F fabric. So if you start doing more than one, that's very easy to do. It's also why I lay them out and then flip them onto each other, just to make sure that I am grabbing the correct pieces. I've definitely sewed the wrong things a lot. Okay, so again, pressing these open. Just kind of moving that up a little bit. And now this bottom one here. This 5B block is very quick, especially compared to the 5A. Okay. Now we are just joining them together. So I need a B rectangle. I am keeping my step 1 up top, just like it is, putting my B rectangle in the center. And then you can notice that my step 2 is pointing down. So I just need to rotate that. And you'll know you did it correctly because all your B fabrics are touching each other, one pointing up, the other pointing down. And I'm going to start with the top. There's no center seams to match up, so I'm not clipping anything. Just lining these up nicely.
Do it. Okay, and we are pressing towards that center B rectangle. So I am pressing that back side, giving a nice press, and then gently opening and pressing from the front. And now I need to do the same thing for the bottom here, putting it right sides together. There's no center seam to match up, so I'm just making sure my long edge is aligned. And the same thing here, we are pressing it towards that center B rectangle. So I'm going to lay it this way so I can just open it up. All right, and this finishes our 5B block, and you should have 2 of these.
All right, so we have just finished up month 5. We have 2 different sections. We have our 5A section here, which you should have 4 of them, and our 5B section, which you should have 2. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you for Cotton Cuts for allowing me to be an ambassador. Let me know by giving me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next month. Bye!